All right, so day number 7 of this vlog series. As you can see, it's raining, so we'll have worse lightning just because we won't really have too much light. I need to like cover it. But as you can see, we can still film, record. Hope there's not too much rainy sound. It shouldn't. But let's come to today's subject, which is how to win at anything you do without trying too hard. And this is basically how to think of why some people aren't really winning in life, right? And I wouldn't say it's a matter of IQ, of intelligence, looking good. Like, yeah, all of those things matter, right? But, like, look at me. The only thing that you could say is that, all right, you're white, but honestly, like, I'm not. Uh, I don't. I'm not tall. I don't have like blue eyes. I don't have high intelligence. Actually, like I've never been in the top 3 of my class. I think ever, because yeah, there were just smarter women. And I think if we look at IQ, we will see that women usually have a much better IQ, especially until let's say maybe 18, 25, when males also start to like develop, right? But overall, like it's not about what you're born with, but how you use what you have, right? So that's why what I want to focus on is thinking of life as a video game. And as you know, in video games, each character has their own strengths. For example, if you've ever played World of Warcraft, you had different races that you could pick. I can't remember them, honestly, although each one started in a different area, right? You can probably search World of Warcraft races and you'll see they look different. Even if you look at people around the world, they do look different. That's why there are so many jokes about Latinas, I guess, right? Because they do look a certain way, which I guess is for many attractive, right? So the thing is that we all are born, or let's say all of us have some strengths and weaknesses. And basically, if you want to win, it does make sense that you would want to focus on what you're better at, right? Think about it. If you're 5'5", 5'8", 5'9", maybe well, once you get to 6 feet, you might have a chance. But if you're at that height, which is basically, I think, 1.7, right? 170 centimeters, something like that. Then, of course, you won't really have success in the NBA, right? It's hard. You're playing on hard mode. But if if you have certain attributes which makes it easier for you to win, then of course you'll win at that game. So, as we know, you're probably also an adult. I guess so. There might be people who are under 18, but yeah, if you're over 18, then let's think that we've all gone through life, right? And we've seen that we're better at some things and we're not better at others, right? For example, we know that there are people who prefer to stay alone. There are people who get energy by talking with other people, right? So that's the introvert versus extrovert energy. And for example, even though I do create and have created a lot of content in my life, probably thousands of hours of public content, I am actually more of an introverted person. However, that doesn't mean that I can still more talk with other people, but that's not my strength. So even this series, it was thought out, meaning that I am thinking in steps. This is a vlog series just to start off by actually having a backstory here, sharing some of my thoughts, philosophies, and then of course I will be creating different types of content in the next couple of years. So it is a plan that I've thought of, and what I wanted to say is that we all should look at what we're better at. For example, just riffing or vlogging is not my strength in general. But the purpose here isn't like to make money or to gain attention. So that's why this is not actually the main side story for me. It's just like a side story. And think of everything from the past, because usually thinking about the past is not really helpful unless you use it to make the future better. And think of it like this, because asking questions is one of the most important skills, and we might talk about that in a different video. But think of it like this. All right, if you're not super tall, right? You probably won't get as many chances, if you're a guy at least, in romantic relationships, right? Because height matters and so on, right? However, if you're not tall, you'll also not go in the NBA, right? And these are easy examples to understand. Then you also have some examples where, for example, your looks might matter. Looks do matter, but it depends to which extent, right? For example, just because I have glasses, it does seem over time, this is something that I've noticed, that I've been told, that I do seem smarter, you know? And I think actually in college, I tried to do the opposite, because I had this aura around me that I'm smart, you know? I exactly tried to be dumb. I mean, I wasn't studying, I was drinking, I was doing the exact opposite, you know, because probably I was, just like most teenagers actually, a rebel at that point, but also I didn't want to be put in a box. So I didn't want to be like the smart guy, right? Just like if you know how to drive, you don't want to be the person who drives everyone around, right? So you always have to break some of these patterns that might occur if you just let life or the others around you dictate who you should be. However, you should analyze yourself and see what you're good at. And there are multiple ways to do this. In most cases, you just have to listen to videos like this one and try to get something away from it. Because, for example, right now, if you're not earning, if you're, for example, in Europe, because there are studies, if you're not earning at least 60k euro, which I think would be around 5k a month. So if you're not earning that, it's a mix here of, let's say, a problem of intelligence, but also the fact that you're not focusing on what you could do. Because if you would focus on what you're good at, then you should easily be in the top, let's say 10% of earners in general. Of course, then it matters if you're a hard worker. So there are other skills that you have to put, right? Just like in a puzzle. However, it's clear that there are some career paths which will be better for some people. That's why some people decide to do, for example, OnlyFans, right? That's an easier way for them to make money. This is more so for females, right? And then for males, I mean, fighting, you won't see too many females there, because just in general, males have more testosterone, and yeah, that comes with motivation, aggressiveness, and so on. So there are things, as you can see, biological things that matter. And if you look at almost everyone, right, you can to some extent figure out who they are based on how they act, what they do. And the problem is that we don't really analyze, and we should analyze ourselves first. I mean, if you analyze other people but you don't analyze yourself, you're doing it backwards and wrong. Just because if you can help yourself first, if you are self-aware, then you will have more success, you will behave better, you will know, for example, when you're pissed, why you're pissed, and just have better emotion management. Because I would say that the emotional management is one of the best skills or things you can focus on in most cases. Because with investments, about emotional management. With relationships, it's about emotional management. With almost everything, actually, it's about managing your emotions and just making sure that you are not doing any mistakes or big mistakes. Uh, One way to think about it is that you never want to do irreversible decisions. For example, if you have a kid, then good luck turning that back. For example, if you lose $100, you can probably make that pretty quick. If you lose 100K and you make a year maybe 50K, I mean, that's not the worst thing that could ever happen, but it's not the best, right? I mean, you are losing a lot of time unless you learn something that would gain you more money. But the the main topic of today was the fact that we should analyze ourselves and put ourselves just like on a chessboard in a place where we can win, right? So that's why it's very important to look at what you're good at and slowly try to shift towards that, because you don't have to change careers immediately. Nowadays, you can just start a side hustle and then see if it works. If it doesn't, just move on to something else. For example, I'll end this by saying that I'm really comfortable staying in front of my computer, um, also talking to people, but mostly in front of my computer, and I will tell you why. Because I can do multiple things at the same time. And since I do have some ADHD, it is actually easier and more enjoyable for me to do multiple things at the same time and have dopamine that dopamine hit, but also some amount of stress, just so I'm not super comfortable, because you want a mix of things that make you more effective. But I would say that's mainly it for today. So just putting yourself in places you can win, and we might talk more about this and looking at life as a video game, but in the next video. So see you tomorrow.